Welcome back. Malpe, you still had some questions you wanted to ask Mr. Nweze?
Oh yes, definitely. From some of the submissions is made, Dr. Nweze, it looks like for you, you have absolutely no problem with the proposal. Where you seem to take issue is the implementation. Is that the situation?
That's the situation. You know, you can propose any amount you want, but the actual implementation. Okay, I keep asking my friends and colleagues, you know, what percentage performance did we achieve in 2016 budget? As at August, thereabout, less than 10 ministries received the allocation. And that's how can they perform, how can they execute the budget when there's no allocation? Okay? And I keep saying this, there are critical ministries that, you know, power is important. Because in every business, manufacturing and all that, power constitutes between 65 and 85% of the cost component. You know, so it's important that we get power right, and that's what Europe and America they were able to get right in less than 50 years. 50 years, over 50 years, Africa and Nigeria, they have not been able to get power right. So we know the importance of power, but again, how much of these monies are retained within? There are some fundamental issues. Our economy is not in the hands of Nigerians, okay? And we need to do something. This part of this budget, we have to put part of these monies, you know, in the hands of Nigerians. If we want power, we have to import. Everything we have to import. You need a bicycle, we need to import. But we have to sit down and bring our people to the level that we begin to think, how do we do this? Reverse engineering, you know, creative imitation.
But in that proposal and in President's speech, you talked about the fact that the focus will now be on encouraging more of the local manufacturing, local thinking, so that we cut down on importations.
Yeah, you don't do that. You don't achieve that with 1 year budget. It's a 10-year plan. You know, for me, if I were the president, I have a 10-year plan. You know, to make sure that what are those things we have to manufacture. You know, and maybe starting from light manufacturing, heavy manufacturing, and all that. And who are those people that will do it? You know, we seem to have outsourced our thinking to China, to India, to some of these people. If you need anything, oh, China will give it to us. Why don't we bring our people? We have creative people that are intelligent enough. Send them on. Japan did it after the Second World War. China did it. The China economy that is growing now is not by, they didn't wish it. They were intentional. They sent I was, you know, in the school I attended, I had some Chinese, some people from Singapore, some people from Japan, my schoolmates and my classmates. Immediately they finished, they went back. Why some of us, you know, wanted to stay and, because there was no hope for us back home. If not for Robert Mugabe, who visited my school and encouraged me to come back to Nigeria, I wouldn't have been here. So we need to send our people back to learn some of these things and then come back and set them up, you know, so that they'll be able to begin to manufacture some of these things.
When you say set them up, is it about legislation or deliberate action?
Deliberate action. When the Japanese, after the Second World War, sent their people out, they decided that they were not going to compete against Europeans and the Americans in the heavy industries. They focused on consumer electronics. And then look at Japan today. They were able to do that. You know, and the same thing with Singapore, what they're doing right now. They needed to expand their airport. Rather than get a Julius Berger kind of construction company to do it for them, they sent out their team of engineers to Australia, to Iceland, to London, to you know, look at what they needed, and then come back with the knowledge. And now they're working to expand. Singaporeans, no foreigner, this thing. So what we're saying here is we need to begin to involve Nigerians. The 10 billion that's being given to agri sector to acquire equipment is to develop other countries, other people's economy. None is being returned here. Meanwhile, we can also train our people to go and learn how to do these things. We have people that can do it and make intentional. So that in India, for instance, India, no matter how raw their products are, it was an intentional thing, deliberate policy that whatever is being consumed in India must be, unless they cannot, they send people to learn about it and bring, and you know, they manufacture what they produce. I mean, what they consume. But our own, the world economy is being affected because of Nigeria's recession mode, because we are a heavy consumer nation, and it's affecting other countries. So we need to be less dependent on importation and all that. We need to begin a 10-year plan to begin to do this thing. It's not a one budget plan. It's not.
That's about infrastructure, infrastructure thinking and all of that. But let's look at the area of education. Compare what we have this year, 550 billion for education generally, and about 92 billion for Universal Basic Education Commission. Compare that, that's about over 140 billion for education in 2017 proposal. In 2016, what did we get? And even though some say it's just about 30% implementation of 2016 budget, 2015, did we even get up to 40% implementation? And what's the guarantee that this will change?
Yeah, that's
especially in the area of education.
Yes.
And that's taking the results from education and implementing.
Yes. You know, one is this. United Nations, you know, I think UNICEF, one of those agencies, advised government that 26% of the annual budget should be committed to education. It was in 2014 or 2015 budget that education, you know, allocation was up to 10%. Usually 3%, 4%, and all that. And it was as if the government had a deliberate, not a spoken one, of not allowing people to be educated. We should declare a state of emergency in our education, because it's easier to lead, you know, people that are educated. The crisis we're having in Nigeria, if we have a deliberate effort to be intentional on education, then we have less crisis. Okay, and then we have people. The economy can grow because there is a critical level of education level that you get, literacy level, to grow an economy. At 40-something percent literacy level, we cannot grow our economy the way we want. Where are you going to get the people? So we need a critical mass to declare an emergency on the education sector so that we can grow the economy. Without education, we are wasting our time.
You said grow our education. Is it about growing schools or the curriculum?
No, you see, one is that from primary school, secondary school, and university, we look at what the society needs and tweak our curriculum to suit, so that we can also, get, town and gown, kind of arrangement, so that whatever the society needs. There are some universities in Canada, Fraser University and some other universities in Canada, that they are the ones solving a power problem. The power in sector, any issue they had, they go to university. So to solve that problem, to come up with a new new technology that will help them to solve the power problem. But how many of our companies, Dangote Industries for instance, the equipment they need, they're using right now in their new how many of them come from our universities? How many of them? How many of them were manufactured in Nigeria? What are the universities for instance? So these are the things that we need to, begin to look at our curriculum to suit the present day situation in the world. So again, we're talking about infrastructure. They have not mentioned the technology infrastructure, which is key. It's just physical infrastructure and all that. Fine, but technology, we need to have, focus on it so that we'll be able to compete, because we cannot compete without technology. So we need to, how do we begin to evolve and grow our own technology rather than be only consumers of technology? These are the things that we need to, it's a strategic thing, long-term thing. It's not just a one budget thing. So I need to see some of those things. A plan that even beyond this administration, that we need to grow, invest in technology, like Ireland did. They built, Singapore did, Malaysia did. Because we need to begin, Saudi Arabia did. Because when King Abdullah was alive, before he died, they knew that the future of Saudi Arabia was not in oil and gas. It's in technology. What did they do? They set up a university, King Abdullah University, of specialized in research to come up with products so that they can compete out there. Have we seen that here? These are the things that we need to look at and be more strategic in our thinking. But we're not doing that. We're only short-term thinking. Thinking in the short term, get around, if we can survive 2016, we will survive 2017 and all that. And nations are not built like that. You need to be intentional, in your policy, in your actions, so that we can get ourselves out. You can't legislate ourselves out of this present economic woes. We need to be deliberate. We need to get the consumers and the producers and the consumers to be able to do all that.
Malkwe,
Well, definitely a lot of people will agree with you that we need to be deliberate with our thinking and in terms of how we carry out actions. But then, you know, it will all start from a budget. It will all start from a statement of intent, which is why we're focusing on the budget. I want to take you up on the fact that you say you really do not have any problem with the proposal. So let us look at the proposal. When you look at what happened in 2016, vis-a-vis what's happening, what they're proposing should happen in 2017, would you say that there's been some consistency? So for instance, we see Power, Works and Housing gets 433.4 billion in 2016. This year they're getting above 500 billion, or they should get 500 billion or above that in 2017. Do you think that there is some consistency in terms of thinking and planning towards that?
Of course, every budget, yes. Since it's not a zero-based kind of budget and all that,